Welcome to Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis, brought to you by Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. Now, here's your host, Brad Wilder.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis. I'm your host, Brad Wilder. We've got a fantastic show all lined up for you tonight. Lots of stuff coming up. We're going to be talking about, some of the trials and tribulations and the cost of saying goodbye financially, physically, and even emotionally, of course, and that means really mentally. So as we jump into things, just to kind of kick things off, today's episode is going to shake you. It's going to pull back the curtain on the funeral and cemetery industries and the pressure, the deception, and even, the cold, calculated sales tactics that target you when you're grieving. Now, this episode on corporate funeral homes is really what you don't want to hear, but it's something that's going to educate you, and it's going to take you into a new place of making sure that, you're going to follow along with a better plan for your loved one. Not only that, but also your pocketbook as well. We've got a lot coming up. It's all happening right here on Ask the Funeral Director after this.
I'm Michael Voyajakis of Voyage Funeral Home, a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the province of Manitoba. Let's talk about simple cremation, and we'll talk about the price differences. At Voyage Funeral Home, simple cremation, $1,680, no hidden costs, no surprises. At Voyage Funeral Home, you get one thing for sure: continuity of care, treating your loved one as we would our own. What's included in simple cremation? Taking your loved one into our care from the place of death. Once we have your loved one into our care, we transfer to and from the crematorium. Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium owns and operates a state-of-the-art cremation facility. We include all your administration fees, provide you with your Canada pension forms, allowing you to apply for up to $2,500 from the government, provide you with your surviving spouse benefit forms, allowing you to apply for up to 60% of your loved one's pension. We help you put an obituary together in the Winnipeg Free Press, the Winnipeg Sun, are absolutely free on our website. Continuity of care, family owned and operated. Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. When you're thinking simple cremation, think Voyage, $1,680.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, Mike, back at it tonight again. Here we go.
Well, Brad, how are you? Another edition of Ask the Funeral Director, on the hour, every hour. Tonight's show, the cost of saying goodbye. And there is a cost of saying goodbye, and it's financially, physically, and mentally. This show is going to keep you on your toes. It's a show you want to watch if you're going to lose a loved one in the next little while or sometime in your life. This will educate you today for peace of mind tomorrow. It's something that's important that we all do. It's nothing we want to talk about daily, but it's something we need to talk about to be prepared. This show will teach you what happens behind closed doors and how the industry really works. Going to say hi to some people. We're going to keep this short tonight because the show is so action-packed.
There's like 8 segments you created, so it's going to be busy.
Gord got number 1 again tonight on the show. He's been working hard at that. So, hey, Gord, how you doing? Janet, hello, gentlemen. Terry Thiessen, hello, everyone from Southern Alberta. Brett?
Hello, Melissa May, Kathy, tickle.
Barry, good evening. Hey, Mary, nice to see you on the show again. Good evening from Mike and Brad. Debbie, hi, guys, gals. Happy Hump Day from West K.
Hey, I got to mention...
Happy Hump Day from West K.
Yeah, it all rhymes. Hey, I got to mention something. See this little trick there, this little headphone here? We're going to start using that up here, and we're going to be able to hear exactly what's going on live. We have a live broadcast stream over there that we're able to hear back. We're going to make sure that everything is running smoothly, and I want to confirm with you that this sounds good. All right, so let's move on.
You're a pro. What can I say?
I'm trying.
There's good old Kevin. Good evening, everyone.
Canada Nano Silver, Kevin.
Yeah, Cass Guy. Good afternoon, everyone. And Heather's on the show. Good evening, Mike.
Al Bueller. Hey, did he fix that fence?
Angela. And yeah, fence is fixed.
Okay, Angela. Angela says she's watching from where?
Toronto.
Is that how you say it?
Lots of protests in Toronto.
There is lots of protests in Toronto. There's lots going on all around the world.
Brenda, good evening, gentlemen. And Debbie, evening, everyone.
No, I do not, Al Bueller. It's just fine now. You just settle down there.
You got a jacket on now.
Well, I was supposed to have a jacket on before, but I'm surprised my tie's even on.
Man.
Was I supposed to wear pants?
No, you know what? It's a hot day. You don't want to wear pants in the studio. It's really hot in here with the big lights shining down on you. A lot of things happening all over the world, not only Canada. And it's pretty amazing. I never thought in my lifetime that I'd be witnessing some of the things that are happening now and some of the things that are about to happen. It seems to be a very, very scary world. And what's scariest about it all is what's going to happen with our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren and our children, and what are they going to face? I mean, most of us have life experience, and we can get out there and we have life's knowledge and wisdom. The gray hair tells you that there's wisdom in the room. So you kind of wonder in the future what these kids are going to face and what the challenge is going to be. So we need to educate them, talk to them, and teach them as much as we can today so they can be ready for what's about to happen tomorrow. We're going to go into a short video before we get into the show.
Yeah, what's the video about?
Talks about funeral service and the upsells and costs, and the video speaks for itself, but we're going to come right back and go right into the show.
There's a lot of cost to it, isn't there?
A lot of cost to it.
But it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. And we're gonna break that to you. You know that song, "Break It to You Gently," when you tell your mom and dad.
All right, let's do this. Here we go, everybody.
Losing a loved one is difficult, but adding to that are funeral expenses, which can be nearly $10,000 and easily much more if you're required to have a vault to place the casket.
Consumer Reports' Nadia Torres explains you don't have to break the bank to have a meaningful farewell.
After losing her father unexpectedly, Scarlett was overwhelmed by grief and the funeral costs.
Just the ground itself, the casket, there's vaults involved, there's all these different things that I didn't know about.
It is staggering. Median funeral costs in the U.S., including a casket, viewing, and burial, top $8,300 in 2023.
It's essential to know that you have choices. So look at the prices at several local funeral homes and then pick the option that best suits your needs and budget.
One of the biggest expenses is often the casket, usually sold by the funeral home for around $2,500. But how about ordering one from Walmart or Amazon? The Federal Trade Commission requires funeral homes to accept caskets purchased elsewhere without charging you an extra fee. If you have chosen cremation for your loved one, you can forgo a viewing and choose direct cremation to keep costs lower. You can still hold a memorial service later at the funeral home, house of worship, or even at home. Many of us put it off, but planning ahead can also help.
You can open a final expenses bank account to start putting money aside. You might also be tempted to pay in advance, but this can be risky if the funeral home closes or your family's unaware that you've already paid.
And as Scarlett says, have an honest conversation with your loved ones.
I know it's something that we don't ever want to talk about. It's just you're trying to be ready because you want to make sure that you honor them the way they want to be honored.
This is Nadia Torres.
So, Mike, listen, she was talking about making sure that you got to take care of not only your loved one, but financially too, and that can be difficult for people at times, especially when you've got a salesperson tapping you on the shoulder, pushing you. You know, those corporate-owned chains, they operate like, well, car dealership commissionaires. You know, they base their arrangement and staff instead of having that licensed funeral director. Guidance becomes scripted, emotional manipulation. Most families choose this for someone special. Pre-packaged services designed for profit, not family needs. You know, all that kind of stuff. You must have a story.
You know, there's stories I could tell you every day, but I can tell you today, I dealt with a family, and overnight they lost a loved one in a care home, and they went to that funeral home first thing in the morning and talked with not a funeral director, but a salesperson. And for a simple cremation, they were at $7,500. They were there for 3 hours, nonstop pressure sales, everything from telling them they had to buy a casket for cremation, telling them that they had to buy an urn. It was mandatory to do a viewing. It went on and on and on. An $800 fee to pick up their loved one from the care home the night before. So the family looked at the Free Press, and they saw that we did an article every Saturday called Ask the Funeral Director. And one of the daughters said, "Mom, why don't we call Voyage Funeral Home and see what the difference is?" And I happened to take the call, and we saw the funeral home name. And you know when families are asking questions, and the questions all add up, you know they're at another funeral home, and they're going through the sales pitch, and they want to get out of there. So she phoned me up and said to me, how much is simple cremation at Voyage? And I said, $1,600 plus GST. And she actually got mad at me because she thought I was lying. She said, listen, we've been through 3 hours of hell. What are you not telling me? And I said, what I'm telling you is the truth. $1,600 plus GST. When you come down here, what you're told on the phone is what you're going to pay. The price you're quoted is the price you'll get when you walk into the arrangement office. Either way, I met them at the funeral home, made arrangements with them. 15 minutes, we were done. $1,600, no hidden costs, no surprises. That's the way it works. That's the way it should work. But that's a story just for today. A family who was smart enough to make the choice of walking out. And a lot of people say, and here's what the salesperson said to them, well, we have your loved one in our care. And the guilt trip started. Do you really want to move your loved one to another funeral home? Do you really want to put your loved one through that? They're right here in our care. Why don't you just stay here and make the arrangements? And it's the easier way to do things. And that's the sales pitch that many, many people go through.
Now, you were talking something about rapid fire earlier, and I didn't quite understand. Obviously, there's you're thinking questions like rapid fire questions, or and I'll give the question, you rapid fire the answer, or do you want me to read really fast?
No. You're gonna. It's rapid fire because
pull out my best Ben Shapiro and talk really quickly.
Rapid fire because you're gonna whip the questions at me. I'm gonna whip them back, and this is a good way to do things because it answers a lot of questions in a short period of time.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a question at you. Questions families don't know that they can ask or maybe too scared to ask. And Mike's going to hit us up with the truth. Is that what's going to happen here, Mike?
The truth is what this is all about, Brad.
All right, that's why we're here, right? Okay. You ready?
Hey, before we do that,
okay.
Can you imagine walking, before we started the show, can you imagine walking through Costco and putting a casket in your cart?
No, are they doing that now?
Or having a casket
You can buy
delivered?
a casket at Costco?
Let me tell you something. The difference between buying a casket at Costco and coming to a family-run funeral home, you're going to probably get the same price coming to Voyage Funeral Home, where we give you everything in a package with no hidden costs and no surprises. So you get a beautiful casket, and you get we have services starting at $7,000.
Yeah, but do you have ice cream and do you have hot
I know.
dogs?
You gotta,
what about cheap gas?
At Costco, you get the whole package. And Costco points. Do you get Costco points? Because
cheap
that
gas.
might be something new.
$1.17 or something, right? $1.15 a liter? That's great.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Rapid questions. Let's do it.
Set. Here we go. Do I have to buy a funeral package?
No, you don't have to buy a funeral package. Another misconception, walking into funeral homes and they say, this is the funeral package you should buy. You should be able to walk in and make a selection of your choice. If it's simple cremation you want, with none of the stuff in the package, you could do that. So it's your choice. Don't get fooled by the package.
That took a while. Okay, is embalming required by law?
So embalming is not required by law. A lot of people ask that question. Probably the number one question we get. You do not have to embalm your body, your loved one's body by law.
Do I have to buy their casket?
You don't have to buy a casket for cremation. You don't have to buy a casket for the funeral home for a traditional burial. Family's choice. So like the regulations said, funeral homes have to accept caskets wherever you get them from. And I know the average family doesn't want to be running around and probably shouldn't buying caskets off Amazon. And
do I need a cremation casket?
Let me deliver this Amazon package to your door and the neighbors see a big casket coming out. Do you have to buy what?
Cremation?
Cremation container?
Well, not a container. It says casket.
So what they tell you is, so when you go to these corporate funeral homes or these larger funeral homes, they say it's mandatory that you need to buy a casket for cremation. The reason they say that is because they say you have to identify the body. And then, of course, they pull the sales pitch off and they go, you can see your loved one in a cardboard container, or you can move up in the showroom that they take you in, or you can move up to this one that's got a pillow, or you can move up to this one that's got a pillow and lining, and it's a complete casket, or you can move up to,
Sounds like a complete scam.
And that's what they do. They play on your emotions. So as you're walking in there, you can only imagine losing your mom, your most favorite person in the world, and all of a sudden you're standing in front of this salesperson who's making you feel 100% guilty about what you want to have and what your mom would have wanted and what your emotions say that you should do.
So let me ask you now, there's a difference between a casket, a cremation casket, and then a cremation urn. Two different things, because really the salesman's trying to pitch the casket to you so he can get that sale going. And then he turns around and says, well, now after we're done, the full service, now we're going to basically cremate them, and they need something to go in then too.
That's right. So,
or you can have this plastic bag, or you get to have this beautiful urn.
So it's a total play on your emotions. And don't forget, when you lose a loved one, you're grieving, you're hurting, you're going through a tough time. And when somebody's talking to you, it sounds like blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
you
sure.
know. So a lot of people walk into a funeral home thinking, well, the funeral home is going to treat me fairly. They're going to be honest. This is what they do for a living. Don't fall for that. And then the biggest scam. I'm going to, in your rapid questions, I'll answer this. But the biggest scam is they call themselves family service. I'm going to give you a bunch of names that they call themselves, so they can make themselves look like funeral directors. They could be family service advisors, pre-planning specialists, advanced planning consultants, funeral pre-arrangement advisor, family care counselor. That sounds good. Cemetery advisor, end-of-life consultants. These are commission-based people. They care about.
Don't
putting
forget
money
a
in
guy
your
at the
pockets.
door who's greeting everybody. I mean, come on, where's mine?
Man, and don't forget, these are well-trained, well-knowledged, well-educated people that are trained to sell, trained to get into your pocket, trained to touch the heartstrings.
Manipulate.
And manipulate.
Exactly. That's the word, manipulate. So, look, guest books, DVDs, flowers, man, they must just rack in the money.
So, again, it's your personal choice. Family, listen, when you go to a corporate funeral home, they sit in front of you and they ask you questions. And
Randolph wants to know if this is an infomercial.
No.
No, Randolph, we're not doing that. We're just trying to help everybody.
Yeah.
It's
This is
educational, Randolph.
Educational.
That's right.
So when you're going to a corporate funeral home, it's like, oh, would you like a guest book? Click. Would you like memorial cards? Click. Would you like a limousine? Click. And at the end of it, it's like, what's that? A la carte.
Yeah, a la carte.
And at the end of it all, you get this huge total. And it's like, what? Well, yeah, these are all the things you wanted.
And so I'm just going to get up because I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say, is the boss standing over the shoulder like this? Go and make sure you check that one. Check that one too.
Exactly. And what's happening there is if the one salesperson can't sell you, guess what? 2 minutes later, in walks another guy. And if he can't sell you, half an hour later, in walks another guy until they try to sell what you need.
And what you've done in
what you
between,
don't need,
and
I
what
should
you've
say.
done in between all those guys is called Voyage Funeral Homes and saved yourself a lot of hassle, a lot of headache, and a whole lot less car salesmanship.
Yeah.
All right, so look, we talked about all the extras, but there's some big things involved too. So let's talk about a hearse and even a lead car. Are they necessary?
So they sell you cremation packages.
We're not going anywhere with the urn, are
Exactly. They sell you cremation packages, and a lot of times they'll put a lead car in there, and say you need the lead car.
we? Well, that's the one with the fancy lights that sits out in the intersection
You
and
need the
blocks
lead
traffic.
car. Why do you need a lead car for a simple cremation? It's gimmicks like this that get their bottom line up higher and higher and higher, and they get away with it every day of the week because the average person doesn't know. All the vehicles they tell you that are required are not really required. A vehicle that is required, which should be in the package, is the removal vehicle, which is the van that goes to the hospital or care home or wherever, takes your loved one into their care, and transports to the crematorium. But in their case, transports to their mortuary facilities where embalming takes place and all the things that they tell you you need, which you don't need. So you don't need those cars that they tell you about. You don't need any of that.
Right. So we're in the middle of rapid fire here, but you know what? Sometimes things happen. And Mags Penner has a great question. Does Voyage Funeral Home provide live streaming of a funeral? And if so, what's the fee? I don't think we can talk about the fee yet, but
Well, there is no fee.
I want to. There's no fee.
There is no fee. Everything Voyage Funeral Home does, we do it from our hearts for the family. So when we do live streaming for a family, there is no fee. Live streaming is simple. Hit a switch, boom, up comes the live stream.
That's right.
Except
Except all the equipment that's involved, right?
Well, we go to the Greek Orthodox Church many times when you're
we do.
there, and a lot of times the pastors, the priest is asked 2 minutes before, "Oh, can you live stream?" Sure, click live stream.
And then it's up, right? Yeah. So there you go.
Live streaming is good but bad at the same time. It's good for people that are from afar, but not good for people that are in the city who don't come to the service because they think, well, I could just sit on my couch, have some popcorn, have a drink, and watch the funeral.
All right, we got up track on rapid fire, but let's get back to it. What are the environmental fees, Mike? What's
Environmental
that
fee. So that's That's another fee that they charge you for that they shouldn't.
Are we trying to be clean and green or what?
So every crematorium burns.
Don't affect
Listen.
climate change. They're watching you.
We can't forget climate change.
They're watching
Jeez.
you.
So they charge you this environmental fee, which they shouldn't be charging you, but it's a fee. And where does this environmental fee go? Do they pay it out to the government? Because
They must. I mean,
if
Justin
they
wants
would,
every dime.
Every funeral home and crematorium would be paying an environmental fee. So
Did I say Justin? I meant Mark.
another false sale.
Okay, so listen, my buddy Gymnasium over there says, I'd like a New Orleans style funeral. Can you get all the dancing girls and all the
We can do
instruments
whatever you
and
want, Jim. You want dancing
trumpets
girls? We'll
and
get you
tubas
dancing girls,
and-
trumpets.
tubas, you know?
We've done some funerals that have been pretty crazy. And a celebration of life for a funeral is the way a person wants to have it. It's their funeral. It's their wishes that we need to follow. And some people have some crazy ideas.
Jim's
So-
thinking Mardi Gras style, so it's a real event, you know. What do they throw those? Do they throw those lays out for
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, so hey, estate protection plans now, they're mandatory, they're not
Oh,
mandatory?
another scam, estate protection plan. Geez, all these things you don't need to buy. They sell them to you. An estate plan that they have there is another bogus plan that they try and sell you. They tell you it's mandatory. They tell you that they're going to do your paperwork, such as your Canada pension forms, your surviving spouse benefit forms, and other paperwork that they do for you, like registering to death, which everyone has to do, by the way, anyways. So these things are one scam after another, and this is how the totals get really high. They tell you all these things are mandatory, which they're not. And believe it or not, a lot of it is a fear-based upsell. Do most homes tell you your rights? No. They don't answer your questions properly. They lie to you. They misguide you. They try to do everything they can to distract you. And when you hear of an environmental fee, right, the average
Yeah.
person will go, oh, that makes sense.
Like my pop bottle or my
Yeah,
pop
like
can.
I got to pay an environmental fee, you know, the smoke coming up from the...
That's probably something they're going to implement down the road, though, isn't
yeah,
it?
we better not talk about it on the
No,
show.
I mean,
Tomorrow we'll get a call from
The mayor?
from Carney.
The mayor.
The mayor.
The mayor, yeah,
yes,
you're
Mr.
blowing-
Wojciechowski. Now there's an environmental fee.
That's a liberal mayor.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Okay, ready for the next one? Do most homes tell you your rights? Do you have rights? What kind of rights do I have?
You have all kinds of rights. There's there's all kinds of laws. There's a Cemetery Act. There's the Funeral Directors Act. There's the Pre-Arrangement Act. Every part of our job has an act that we need to follow. Will they tell you that? Probably not. Maybe if you ask. And this is why a show like this is important, because you can kind of educate yourself on the questions.
Sure,
You know,
absolutely.
and things you can ask. And when they say to you, you need to pay for an environmental fee, you say, what is that? And where in the act does it say I need to pay for that?
Yeah, where is that in the government? Okay, so now can they charge you more for outside caskets? Like I buy one at Costco, I throw it in the cart, and I bring it home. Am I able to use it?
It actually violates federal law to charge for a casket. You could charge a handling fee. You could charge other fees. You got to be careful when people actually bring caskets into the funeral home. Like you don't want to have a homemade casket. Well, you're walking, to the cemetery and the bottom falls out of the casket, and you see the person rolling across the cemetery, and everybody's
Right.
completely freaked out because that happened. So, there's times where you can see a casket is made properly, and you could accept it, and there's times where somebody just tried to glue a casket together because they wanted to be environmentally friendly, but they forgot their loved one was like a couple of £100.
That can add up.
Yeah.
Are value packages actually cheaper? Like
No,
you
so-
got the discounts, right?
We
You got to have a discount.
So they give you here's how the corporate funeral homes work. They give you a package, and then they give you the add-ons on that package.
Oh, okay.
So when you come to Voyage, you get 4 packages. I don't know if did you get that? by
Okay,
any
so
chance?
well, we've got some of it. We've got the website actually ready to go
Really?
here, so
Oh,
we can
cool.
look at
Well,
the
We're going to
website.
take a peek at that. But when you go to Voyage, what we do is we give you 4 packages, and those packages give you details of everything that's in that package, and literally everything we put in our package is something you need. It's everything you need to have that cremation or to have that memorial service or to have that traditional burial. We don't throw stuff in there that you don't need or stuff that's going to just cost you a bunch of money.
That's right. So on the website, there's lots to look at, as people will be able to see here. all of it's listed. Now, one thing a lot of businesses do, they don't put all the prices up on the website because that can be confusing or intimidating, not to mention,
Yeah, and we don't do that.
get your competition competing against you in a different way.
We don't do that either. We don't put our prices on our website because you want people to call so you can explain to them.
Yeah, there's a lot to explain.
And it's more personal when you could talk to somebody who's lost a loved one and guide them through those steps instead of saying, yeah, just go to our website and read the packages.
like you said, they're grieving, right? So as they're grieving, that's where you've got to kind of play it right, and you've got to do the right thing. And high pressure sales tactics are something that can really blow the deal. And obviously, you're not worried about blowing the deal. You're really worried about compassion and care and continuity of life, I think you call it, right?
Of course, yeah.
Can they say embalming is required when it's not? Because there's companies that'll say you have to.
So they'll tell you that it's mandatory to embalm the bodies. Most funeral homes will say to you, it's 100% absolutely mandatory to embalm the body. That's a 100% lie. You do not have to embalm the body. There's certain times you need to embalm the body. Like, for example, if somebody was autopsied and the family wanted to do a viewing, yes, embalming should take place. Otherwise, you probably will not be able to do a viewing. But before cremation, when they tell you a body needs to be embalmed, that is a straight-out lie, 100% wrong.
Okay. Now, they legally have to provide a general price list, like you do too. You've got one in the brochure that you can show people and go through it. You've got a piece of paper there at the office that's going to run it all down.
But the funny thing is, you have to ask for that price list.
Oh.
At Voyage, you come in and we give you that price list.
So it's straight away, sit down, open the brochure, here's our options.
So when a family comes into Voyage, for example, a family walks in and they say, we've decided we want simple cremation, and that's what our loved one wanted. They wanted nothing special. They just wanted things very simple. So simple cremation on our website is exactly that. It's taking your loved one into our care, transfer to and from the crematorium. An important part is we own and operate our own crematorium. All the cremation fees are included. Temporary urn is included. Your basic cremation container, which is a cardboard box. Preparation of all the legal documentation. Administration fees are included. And an information folder with your Canada pension forms, your surviving spouse benefit forms, a guideline on how to handle the estate, and all the benefits that are available. We give you 6 funeral director statements of death, an application for a Manitoba death document from the government if you should need one, and we put an obituary on our website absolutely free for you. Something else we're adding on there is an after-death care package for families that do not want to do the paperwork on their own. We'll do it for them for $150, and that's probably 10 times cheaper than a lawyer will do it for.
And not all services have, music and videos and all that, right? So, but you have that option at Voyage, and that's something I think that is important because you want to do a memorial video, you want to place a certain song that individual liked, or
so again, it's about the service has to be to the family's request.
Sure.
So if they wanted certain music, if they wanted certain flowers, if they wanted something special to happen in the reception area, like for example, some people want to serve wine in the reception area. Mm-hmm. And so we get them to get a permit and we can serve wine in the reception area. So we cater to families. A funeral director should never tell you, this is the way it's got to be, this is the way we do it, this is traditional, this is just the way it is. It should be, what can I do to make this easy for you? What can I do to follow through with your loved one's wishes? What can I do to make things easier for your family?
So look, you get there, you go through all this stuff, you pick what you want, and then all of a sudden you're at the point where, is the term cremation chapel misleading? Like, what's a cremation chapel? Because, I mean, I've heard of funeral chapels and I've heard of churches with funeral services, but a chapel, a cremation chapel, what is that, a tiny little room? I don't understand.
I've never heard of a cremation chapel. I mean, there's some funeral homes have a window where you can look through, like we do. If you wanted to, if a family wanted to be there, they could look through a window as we place the casket into the cremation casket into the cremator. But there's so many misleading items that you're talk to you about that sometimes you got to shake your head because you don't know what they are. And even myself as a funeral director, I look at cremation chapel. What is that? It's a crematorium, and people come to the crematorium and do a viewing, but it's not a chapel.
Would it be considered a place to have a memorial service?
Well, I guess there's some funeral homes. I know a couple in Winnipeg, one in Winnipeg anyways, that has a chapel,
Right.
and then they open up the curtains and the cremator is right beside there. So package number 2 on our service is cremation with a memorial service. And package number 3 is
Let me just scroll ahead here.
a little faster than Brad is.
There's the funeral service.
That's funeral service with cremation to follow. So that's a rental casket where you don't have to buy a casket. We do the place your loved one in a casket. We do the service. There's a viewing that takes place. And following that, the person is cremated. And all the same stuff's included in every package. So, and of course, package number 4 is the traditional burial.
Traditional earth burial. So
Correct.
6 feet under.
6 feet under.
Okay. And then I guess there's maybe one more here, I think, that we got to, or 2 more. Death of a child. That's something you take extremely seriously, of course,
Yeah.
because it's a child, but at the same time.
So people who watch the show need to know that at Voyage Funeral Home, we're caring, we're compassionate, we're loving, and we never charge for the death of a child. Since the beginning and the opening of Voyage Funeral Home, we've never charged for a child, and we never will. So it's something we do from our hearts, and that includes everyone who works at the funeral home. They donate their time. If we bring a pastor in, they'll donate their time. There's a place called Dressing Angels, and they provide clothing for the child at no charge. So we have a great team that works together when a child passes away, so we can literally do everything for that family at no cost to take that financial burden away. It's hard enough to lose a child.
Absolutely.
And to have that financial burden placed on top of you, on top of the death of your child, and not only that, have a salesperson trying to sell you things is disgusting.
So let's quickly move on to anticipating death at home. It's the final one in this series of.
So anticipating home death
services.
is basically if you're anticipating a home death, like it says, if you cancer, heart disease, the doctor will give you a letter anticipating home death. They're sending more people home to die, and once you have this letter, there's no calling 911. There's no police, ambulance, fire, medical examiner's office. This anticipating home death letter allows the funeral home to come directly to your home, take you or your loved one into our care, and follow through with your final wishes. Great piece of advice, great paper to have if something was to happen.
All right, Mike. Do I have to use the funeral home attached to the cemetery? Like,
So
is that mandatory?
That's a good one. That's a good
That's a
question.
good one?
So a lot of these funeral homes will tell you that it's mandatory. The salesperson will tell you it's mandatory to use the funeral home located on the cemetery property. Otherwise, you can't bury your loved one on that cemetery, even though you have cemetery property. That is 100% a lie, misleading, misguiding, and just real evil when you tell families that. You have a choice of using any funeral home you want and going to any cemetery you want in the province of Manitoba.
All right. So can they deny burial if you choose an outside?
No.
No?
No, under the Cemeteries Act. So funeral homes could go to any cemetery and place people, as long as we're a licensed funeral home, and we are.
Now, I've seen you work with grave liners before. What's that about? And are they legally required, or what's up?
So this is another cemetery scam, as I call it. They will tell you that it's mandatory to buy a vault at a cemetery. Most of these cemeteries, the corporate ones, want to get their bottom line up, money up, so they sell you vaults. And vaults can start from $1,800 for a basic cement liner to as high as $10,000.
Whoa.
So vaults are something that they push, salespeople push it, and there's a time period, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, where if you bought your cemetery property before that time, you don't have to buy vault. But they won't tell you that. They won't tell you that, but when you come to Voyage, we will tell you that. And then there's cemeteries in Winnipeg who don't require those vaults. And I always send families to those cemeteries. Why? Because it's a financial burden for families. It's hard enough to bury a loved one. It's hard enough to pay for funeral expenses. And then when you get that thrown in, it's huge. The City of Winnipeg cemeteries, Brookside, St. Vital, Transcona, none of those cemeteries require a liner or a vault. And, I mean, in the olden days, when you think about it, they used to place your loved one directly in the ground. And that's the way it was. Now, all of a sudden, they've moved up to all these liners to increase profits at cemeteries. And they'll tell you it's because we don't want the cemetery sinking. And, I mean, if you look back at all these cemeteries from years and years ago, they're not sinking.
Now, people walk in, they set something up, they're basically coming to you for guidance, and let's say they get a prepackage and they do that whole prepackage up really well, and they're all set. They think they're ready to go. Then 5-10 years go by, and the next thing you know, they're coming back in, and some, I'm going to say, homes must end up changing the fees after the fact, but you guys don't for some reason.
Here's what happens. So you allow a salesperson into your home. A lot of older folks will allow a salesperson into their home. They come into your home, and they're telling you that they're going to pre-plan your funeral home. And I hear from families all the time that come into the funeral home who've had to make arrangements, and I'm sure you've heard this. They've had to make arrangements for their mom or dad or whoever's passed away. And the thing they say all the time is, I want to pre-plan because I don't want my kids to go through this.
Right.
Because it's terrible when your children have to go through this. So pre-planning is peace of mind. It really helps financially and everything else. But if you let salespeople in their house, here's what happens to you, and it happens all the time. They come in, they pre-plan a little bit of your service, and then they leave the rest wide open. So when you die and you walk in, they could sell your family the things they didn't sell you. So a lot of people think they're pre-planned, and absolutely 100% not.
Opening and closing fees, what's that about?
Opening and closing fees are so that's a normal fee. That's going to a cemetery,
right,
and them taking the dirt out to place the casket in or the urn, and then placing the dirt back in again. So that's called opening and closing, and that's normal for them to charge you.
Is it a big fee?
Usually $1,400 to $1,700, I believe it is, somewhere around there.
Now, we're almost wrapped up. One more quick question on this rapid fire. Can they lie about availability? Only 2 plots left, only 5
So
plots
this
left.
is another sales pitch that they use.
We only got 1 space left.
It's really fraudulent. So you go in there, and you're under pressure. You want to bury your loved one. It's like 2 days away when the funeral is. You have to make that cemetery property 40 hours in advance a lot of times. And they play this game on you. Well, if you don't buy this right now, it might be gone tomorrow. Or the availability of you having it for next week. And this happens for funeral services. They try to hook you on that funeral service. Bait and hook. Oh, if we don't book a service day today, you're not going to be able to have it on Saturday. As soon as you walk out of here, another family will book it. And right away, almost like going to the casino, the music in your head goes, oh my God, I got to play this. Same thing. Oh my God, I got to book this. We want mom service to be on Saturday. And they got you where they wanted you. They put pressure on you. They've hooked you. And now you're stuck with what you've chosen.
All right, so do they lead with high-end options first or second, or how does that work? Do they start at the bottom? I know you just have your basic structure of pricing, but...
So what they do is they start in the middle.
In the middle.
Right? And then if you start at the bottom, then there's the middle, right? And they're more likely going to go with the middle. They start in the middle so they can work you up a little higher. And I remember going into, when I first opened up the funeral home years ago, I walked in with a friend of mine to one of the funeral homes in the city, and I remember the sales pitch like it was yesterday. We walked in, and there was 2 caskets, one on top of each other on a shelf, and I'll never forget what this sales guy said to him. The guy I went with didn't speak very good English, so we got to ask a lot of questions. So the top casket was, let's just say, $5,000. And it was a nice casket. We said, yeah, this is the one we want. So the salesperson did something super unethical. He opens up the bottom of the casket, and he says, you want to put your mom in this casket? It's unfinished. Look at it. There's no liner in it. How are you going to feel when you go to sleep at night knowing that your mom is in a casket that's unfinished? You were cheap. You cheapened out on your mom's final wishes. And then he opens up the casket on the bottom, which is $6,500, and it literally has 10 staples in it. Clink, 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 with a liner over it of, silk or whatever it is. And he goes, this will give you peace of mind.
Scam.
This is a completed casket. You're not putting your mom in a half-finished casket. This is what you should buy your mom. This is what she deserves. How dirty is that?
That's really
but
dirty.
It's 2 people who walked in there. He had us convinced that we should put his mom in that finished casket to give ourselves peace of mind knowing we did the right thing, and we won't go to sleep at night thinking, wow, we cheapened out $1,500, and it's something they play on your emotions. They play on your emotions until they win.
So let's talk about the guilt that they use, because obviously there's some guilt tactics that are formulated into that. We've touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But what about the guilt aspect of things?
The guilt aspect is the bigger thing. So when they play on your emotions,
Your mom wants the best.
Your mom wants the best, and you know, your mom did so much for you and you need to give back, and the way to do it is buy her a nice casket or a nice urn and do all the things that she wanted done, spend all the money you could get, spend limousines, get everything you need, don't cut out on anything. And that's playing on your emotions.
So
That's like me, Brad, coming up to you and, you know, you lose a loved one and say, come on, Brad, you're going to buy your dad that urn? Your dad doesn't deserve that. Your dad deserves this one here. The one with, you know, the picture that he liked. The one that's looks elegant. Your dad, you're going to put your dad in that cheap urn? And then you're kind of going, yeah, maybe I am cheaping out.
do you think the grief counselors talk the same way?
Grief counselors?
Yeah, like salespeople, like you're doing now?
I think grief counselors try to help you through your grief. I don't think they try to sell you on something that you don't need to buy. So when you're dealing with a grief counselor, they're trying to help you, they're trying to guide you, they're trying to get you in the right frame of mind in your head. So a grief counselor and a salesperson are two different people doing two different jobs.
So they discourage price shopping. You know, you walk in and you go, I got to go look somewhere else. And then they go, well, wait a minute, hold on, sit back down. I got a deal for you.
And that's what happens. As soon as you tell them that you're going to leave, all of a sudden everything changes. In comes salesperson number 2. Maybe he's the manager. Oh, wait, you know, Barney here, he's fairly new with the funeral home. And, you know, I feel that he didn't give you all the service that you need. Let me take over. And he tries to sell you on everything. And that's just the way they do it. And at the beginning of the show, you mentioned that they think of us as car salesmen. And they exactly think that, car salesmen. So, yes, playing on your emotions, playing on your grief is something these salespeople do 100% of the time.
You need a little more grease in your hair. Okay, can you get a simple cremation for $1,000 or less, Mike, or is that like out of the question?
That's out of the question.
It is?
If
Why?
you're getting cremation for $1,000 or less, you're going to a crematorium that doesn't own a crematorium. But that's in here too, so we'll talk about that. But
Okay, so the emotional cost of not saying goodbye. Now, that's got to be tough, man. You miss it. What happens when you lose someone and you didn't get to say goodbye?
so the emotional cost of not saying goodbye is huge, and that's just the hardest thing to go through as a person in your heart. What happens when you lose somebody you didn't say goodbye? It's being like left out of a funeral. Unsolved conflict can cause a lifetime of guilt and psychological harm. So when you don't deal with things, it breaks your system. When the system or the family member denies someone the right to mourn, it's unfair. It's emotionally devastating. A son excluded from his father's funeral due to family disputes years later is still needing counseling.
It's a hard process to wrap your head around.
Well,
I
grief
mean.
is heavy enough, but the burden of unfinished goodbyes can break a person. And it's really important to have your goodbyes and leave people on good terms, because don't forget the last thing you say to someone is the thing you have to live with. And I've been in the chapel many, many times where a loved one is saying sorry for the things they said to the deceased.
Yeah, I've seen that recently myself.
Yeah.
She stood there at the casket.
But it's
open
not the
casket,
same,
and
Brad.
No,
It's not the same.
No, you're not talking to somebody
As
that's
your,
alive.
as your
that's gonna
family member
respond.
who's alive, and there's a heartfelt, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said what I said to you. I take that back. Please forgive me. But when you're talking to somebody who's deceased, there's nobody there.
Right.
It's just the body. It was just your tent on earth that you needed to get through life.
How do you say it? To be absent
To
from...
be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord.
All right. So the storefront crematorium deception, there's a lot that goes on there, and many funeral homes brand themselves as crematoriums, but they don't actually own or operate one, right?
That's correct. So basically what happens here is I believe it's false advertising. And I believe that the Board of Funeral Service or whoever's taking care of funeral directors should put a stop to this. So when you see, John's crematorium, you think, well, John has a crematorium. And you feel comfortable going there because the sign says he has a crematorium. And then what happens is it's false. That's exactly what they don't have. They don't have a crematorium. They basically have an office. They subcontract all the services out. They don't have reception areas if you want to have a reception. They don't have chapels if you want to have a chapel. They're basically a storefront that offers cremation without a crematorium. And basically subcontract all your services out. and those are the people that are offering low prices because they're trying to undercut the people that. And what I don't get is these funeral homes that own and operate, crematoriums. Why are you helping these people out who don't have crematoriums, who are taking money out of your pocket and not serving families properly because they can't?
Right. It's there's lots that happens, man. But you pay for more than what you get. You get less because it's all price mealed and farmed out and all that kind of stuff,
and you need
right?
to know at Voyage Funeral Home, our crematorium is on site. So
not just one.
we have a state-of-the-art cremation facility.
There's like three crematoriums, right?
We have three of them, three retorts, which are three cremators, and it gives families peace of mind when they know they could come there, they could witness a cremation, they could say goodbye to somebody privately. Transparency and dignity, start to finish. That's what that is. Transparency from start to finish, and dignity when you know and you have peace of mind and continuity of care, and you know the cremated remains you're getting are the cremated remains of your loved one.
Mike, who's the FTC?
The FTC is in the States.
Okay.
So here we have the the Board of Funeral Service who just changed their name, and they're under the Consumer Protection Act. So
somebody's overseeing this.
That's
You have,
right,
you have an
somebody's
authority that's watching you. Is it a government authority?
It's a government authority.
It is, eh?
Yeah.
So
you
now,
could put a complaint in against any funeral director,
right?
To the consumer.
And there's been some that have. I mean, 39 in the States, is that right, or Canada?
39 funeral homes violating pricing disclosure rules.
Wow.
So in Ontario, if you were in Ontario, for example, where Mike McIver, our funeral director,
right,
has an Ontario license, he would tell you that 99% of the stuff that happens in Manitoba would never happen in Ontario. It just wouldn't happen.
Really?
Because they're regulated. And these storefronts wouldn't exist in Ontario because there's rules and regulations and they need to follow. So Manitoba needs to, I think, tighten up their belt and change the way funeral service operates here and have more, continuity amongst funeral directors.
Are there prepaid plan disasters? How do you prepaid plan disasters?
My mom always says, Mike, when you're running out of voice, drink some drink.
Yeah. So corporate chain markups is coming up as well, and obviously there's some things that are kind of shady in that aspect of things too, I assume.
Pre-planned disasters, there's a lot with that. So people go in, they pre-plan a funeral, they come the date of death, the family comes in, and I heard a story about this recently, but we witness it all the time. The family said, we decided not to have, they paid like $15,000, let's just say. They decided not to have the funeral service, and they decided, well, we're just going to do the cremation. At the end, Mom wanted things a little more simple. She asked to change things. So they did just a simple cremation. What should happen is they should be reimbursing you the rest of the money. But some funeral homes have a policy that says, you don't use it, you lose it.
Really?
That's not the way it should be. And that's where pre-planned disasters become disasters.
That's where they should contact you, Mike, and then go, hey, listen, I'm going to move my funeral and my prepaid plans from the other funeral home to Voyage, and then what happens with that extra cash?
So what Voyage does is if you have a pre-planned funeral somewhere, transfer it over to us. And if you've paid too much, we reimburse your estate at the time of your death. And we've written checks for $10,000, $5,000, $6,000, reimbursing families who've been taken advantage of.
Now, corporate chain markups must play into all of this, and they're pretty high, right?
Probably 50% more, considering they have to pay sales staff and they have to pay for these. They have beautiful buildings, beautiful cemeteries, but guess who's paying for that? You.
Yeah.
And you.
Mostly them.
Mostly you.
I'm not paying for your funeral. All right, pre-planning scams that trap families, and they don't see it coming.
So that's what we talked about earlier. Those are the half-sold services. Where pre-plans offer half services. They come in, they do the half. Your loved one dies, they come into the funeral home, and they charge you all the rest of it, which could add up to $1,000. I've seen funeral homes charge up to $10,000 for a simple cremation. $10,000.
That's a lot of money.
That's just for a simple cremation.
You've got a lot of dough on the line there, and when you could have paid $1,600 to Voyage, you pretty much, yeah. Wow.
Other things they do for you too is They tell you it's mandatory. A family came in today and they were at another funeral home when their last loved one passed away, and they said, "Oh, it's mandatory, and you legally have to put an obituary in the paper." That's wrong. Most funeral homes use the obituary section as an advertising section. You'll see it, obituaries running over and over again at the family's expense with a big thing on the bottom saying, "Funeral services provided by," over and over again, and that's wrong. It shouldn't happen, but it's happening all the time. And a lot of these funeral homes mark up their obituaries 20%, 30%. So a family is paying 30% more because the funeral home is putting the obituary in the paper for them. How wrong is that?
Half-sold services, pre-planners often sell the half services now and then upsell the rest later when you're really, I guess, in distress.
Again, it's a grieving family walking in. They're playing on your emotions. It's like a bank refusing to return your money.
Sure.
When you've paid this money and they've collected interest on your money, and the bank is saying, "Well, sorry, you didn't use the services that you paid for, so we're just gonna, you lose it." Simple as that. At Voyage, funds are held in trust, so we use an insurance funds, True Stage. Your money is collecting 3% interest every year, and we lock it in at today's price, meaning you never pay a penny more. The price we quote you is the price you pay, and that price gets locked in, so if you die 30 years from now, it's still the $1,600 you paid for. Plus, our funds are protected. They're transferable to any other funeral home in the world. The only time that basically it's 100% guaranteed, and unless you there's no games, there's no gimmicks, all the packages are 100% guaranteed, and that comes from us. And that's a big thing because we've heard story after story where families go into a funeral home and they say, "Oh yeah, you paid $2,500, it's now $7,500, and you need to pay the difference." So basically, you need to know your rights to protect your family. It's really important to know your rights. Demand a general price list up front. Ask, do you own and operate a crematorium? Can I bring my own casket? Can I prepay through regulated trust or accounts, or can I put it in insurance funds? Get everything in writing. Research, reviews, reports online before choosing a funeral home of your choice.
Now, you must have some free tools from Voyage that everybody can
if you can see it on the will kit. So if you go on the will kit part up there, you could click in the will part. It'll show you all the things that you get in the will part. It's actually good that you have that up there because we can. So there it is. Hey, there I am, and there's a little video and it tells you everything about a 5-in-1 will kit. So you click on that video and it gives you complete, and you can download it and print it, and it gives you your everything you need for the will, and it's on our website, absolutely free, and that's how you find it. Will kit, click 5-in-1 Cherished Memories will kit is right there for you at no charge.
Let's talk quickly about the Family Wishes Planning Form, funeral cost comparison guides, pre-planning checklists. All that's available on the website too, right? And people can go there. The forms are there, and all that.
Yeah, and anything you don't have, we provide for you. So the good thing about coming into a funeral home is you sit and talk with the funeral director, and we guide you through it, and we help you, and we make sure everything is done properly for you. It's a big thing. Don't forget, important show tonight, to share and like with your friends. And people need to hear this because people lose loved ones every day of the week. Every single day of the week, somebody loses a loved one. Every single day of the week, somebody gets taken advantage of by a funeral home. Every single day of the week, a funeral home or a funeral director or funeral salesperson is lying to a family or misguiding or hiding the truth and sweeping it under the carpet.
Absolutely, and as you can see under the resources, there's tons of stuff here to go through, from victims of crime to making a donation to the Deceased Estate Handbook, Manitoba land titles, CPP death benefit info, vital stats on death documents, acts and regulations. It's all there for grieving, support, and healing, not to mention financial assistance there. Could be about veterans' last post fund. There's all kinds of things that Voyage is participating in that other funeral homes don't, right?
When families are grieving, they deserve compassion, not a sales pitch. At Voyage, we believe in truth, dignity, and your right to choose. Don't let someone profit from your pain. That's a big thing. Don't let somebody profit from your pain. Let's reclaim the funeral process the way it was meant to be. It was meant to be families serving families. Randolph is saying they must have pre-recorded the show tonight. No, we're actually pretty live.
We're here.
We'll go back maybe and answer some of these questions on the screen, and that pretty much gave you the whole hours of insight of what goes on in funeral service and the things you got to watch for. So keep that in mind. And I think this is frozen.
Which one? Just click it.
Click it.
Push the mouse.
Oh, look at that.
And
Not
it
frozen
works.
anymore.
See,
Do you see
not
anything
anymore.
interesting on here that you want to?
No, I you know what? I think we've covered a lot of it. There wasn't a lot of questions. Some of the ones that were there, I think we've covered mostly. But that's a great start for next week's show. Please feel free to email Mike. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, just Voyage Funeral Homes. You can. The best way to get in touch with us is just to call the funeral home, leave a message, and we'll get back to you. Or send us an email. The best way to get a hold of
You
us.
can
But
throw a question up on Facebook as well in the chat, and just Michael goes through them the next day, and he hits the like or the laugh or whatever you guys are talking about in chat, and he also makes sure to check your questions and see if there's something there that we didn't go over, and he brings it into the realm for next week.
And just to let you know, in August sometime, we're going to be taking a bit of a break. Going to go on holidays.
Oh, yeah? Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm
Somewhere
not too
fun?
sure. Just going to take a break and, relax.
Grand Beach.
Sit by the pool. So sometime in August, we'll give you notice. We're going to be taking a couple of weeks off and maybe a week at a time or something. Who knows? I don't know if I can stay away from you for a whole month.
We might have to do the pre-planned show, the pre-production,
the pre-recorded show.
and play it back Wednesday nights at 9. No.
Well, this was another edition of Ask the Funeral Director. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you and your families. Take care of yourselves and each other. Brad, thanks again for
Thank you,
an awesome
Mike.
show. Take care.
Good night, everybody.